Hey guys, I'm digital anchor Brandi Smith, joined by Jason Bristol, and we're talking about the Astros. Of course, they're preparing for their 5th straight run in the ALCS. That starts tomorrow. But a lot of concern about Lance McCullers right now.
Yeah, Lance McCullers is the big story. I just came back from Minute Maid, and Lance McCullers, of course, left Game 4 with what they called tightness in his right forearm. Lance McCullers had an MRI, and right now it's still up in the air. Basically, what the Astros say is that they are still evaluating his condition. My guess is it's not promising. I did ask James Click, the general manager of the Astros, what is the level of optimism? And he said, well, we had a low level of concern when he was taken out after or during Game 4. So, you know, when you've got a situation where your number one starter can't pitch in one of the most important series of the year, or potentially can't pitch, I think there is a lot of concern. Framber Valdez will start Game 1. Luis Garcia will start Game 2 against the Red Sox. Dusty Baker just mentioning that a few minutes ago. The Astros are waiting on the MRI results, and James Click could not say at that time what the results were or what essentially short-term, long-term, what it means for Lance McCullers. So again, we're kind of in the situation we were in 24 hours ago, not knowing exactly what to expect or where Lance McCullers potentially fits in this best-of-7 series.
Since he started Game 4, was there any expectation, barring an injury, that he would start Game 1?
He would not have started Game 1, I don't think, because of his rest. I mean, I think they would have had him potentially for a Game 2. So he pitched his normal day because of the rain out they had on Monday. But Lance later admitted that some of the things he does between starts, it sounds like he wasn't as comfortable or didn't do all of his normal, what we would call ramp up. So did that contribute to this? Who knows? Lance McCullers, as most Astros fans know, is coming off Tommy John surgery. It is a fairly common surgery nowadays in baseball, but it also requires 15, 18 months of recovery. And many times guys come back stronger, and they do, but obviously Lance does have a bit of an injury history as well. So right now I think the Astros are hoping for the best. Now, if there's a spot where he can maybe pitch an inning or two, or an inning at a time, that might be something that the Astros might entertain. Yes, he can't go out and give you 5 or 6 innings, but in what we call high leverage situations where the game, there's perhaps runners on base, or it's a crucial point of the game, and they could give him an inning, maybe they'll do that. I don't know. Right now, we don't know until basically 10 a.m. tomorrow when the rosters have to be announced.
Gotcha.
And that's when we'll know for certain whether Lance McCullers is part of the picture for the ALCS. Maybe he sits the ALCS and comes back for the World Series, should Houston get there. Again, all these scenarios are on the table. James Click led us to believe that they're still being discussed. I'm guessing they probably have an idea of what's going on, but that's the situation, at least what the Astros are saying publicly.
Okay, sorry, I was looking at the clock because I know we have you for a limited amount of time. In addition to covering everything Astros, Jason's also anchoring the 411 today. But I also want to talk about another issue of uncertainty, and that is Carlos Correa, and when free agency hits, whether he's going to stick around here in Houston.
Wow.
You know, I expect you to have a hard and firm answer, Jason.
No, I'm just joking. It's a situation with Carlos is that it is what it is, and come the end of the season, he's going to have to evaluate what's important to him and his family. Is it a long contract, maybe 10 years? Is it maybe 4 or 5 years at $35 million a year? What are other teams willing to offer? What are the Astros willing to give him? There's just, again, no one knows, and right now, Carlos, to his credit, has not let all of this extra stuff hamper his performance. Sometimes in baseball, not just baseball, any sport, we see guys who are at the end of their contract, so it's their year for free agency, and sometimes they just fall apart, and it is bad. Bad for the player, bad for the team, bad for their value, the player's value. We have not seen that from Carlos Correa. He actually, before the season, said, listen, I welcome this. I welcome this opportunity to show what I can do. He said, I'm not afraid of free agency, and based on what we've seen on the field, off the field, his leadership during games, before games, after games, it hasn't impacted him at all. But today he said, I'm not thinking about that, which is basically the message he's been saying the entire season. I'll deal with it when it gets here. But right now he's focused on the here and now, and that is winning another World Series championship. So to his credit, nothing has changed. It's all of us who keep talking and wondering and asking, is this a sign? Is this a signal?
I was gonna say fans are kind of in that boat, right? We're focused on the Astros' progression through the next few series, hopefully getting to the World Series. But at the end of that, there's that huge question mark about Correa because we've lost a couple of big names. I know that's the sport.
Yes.
That's what happens. But to lose Garrett Cole, to lose George Springer, like Houston favorites, I think it would be hard to say goodbye to Carlos.
Yes, and I think he's different in a way. Yes, George Springer came up through the organization. George Springer, he's not as outspoken as Carlos. Like, who's the guy that came to Jose Altuve's defense after the sign stealing scandal? Who's the one who got down on a knee to propose to his then girlfriend after the World Series? Who's the one that really has put himself out there to not be outspoken, but to be a true leader of this team, to be like the alpha male, I guess you would call him, the big dog? Carlos has done that. And because of that, I think that's why when this comes down and should he leave, I think it will feel different. Justin Verlander, haven't crossed that bridge yet. Garrett Cole, I think a lot of people felt, yeah, he gone.
I feel like Verlander was like an assassin, though. We brought him in to do a job. He did the job.
Yeah.
There wasn't a level of attachment.
Exactly.
Like we do have with Correa.
Carlos came through the system. He was a 1-1, the number 1 overall pick in the draft. So that one I think is going to feel a little bit different.
Okay, so. It is 2:30 on the nose. I promised I'd let you go.
Real quick, may I say one thing?
Absolutely.
So Jeremy Booth, our KHOU 11 baseball analyst, former Major League scout, he and I talked a lot about Carlos Correa on our new podcast, which will be is dropping? Is that the term?
Sure.
Which will be
dropping it like it's hot.
We'll be hitting all of your favorite podcast platforms. So Jeremy and I talked quite a bit about Carlos Correa. It kind of evolved that way. It wasn't really part of our plan, but that's coming up, the new Extra Bases podcast.
Okay, and you can catch Jason and all our Astros coverage starting at 4 o'clock with the 411.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.